How y'all doing today? So, as promised, this took a while to put this together, but this is going to be the video talking about the different kinds of horror movies that exist. So, horror is one genre that really has something for everyone. You have obviously horror itself. You have horror comedy. You can be a drama horror. You can have horror set in the Old West. The horror can be animated. It could be a horror comedy. It could be sci-fi horror. The possibilities are endless. You see, it's like you can do romantic comedies, stuff like that. Just like you can do like a drama. For the most part, though, it's usually just a drama. There's only so much you can do with that. And you can have horror thrillers. So with horror, you can do a lot. So that's what this video is going to be about, is showing you the different kinds of horror. Now, the titles I'm going to be showing you are just a sample. They're just samples of what you can get for these. There's a lot out there. So, but let's get started. So, classic horror. Start with that. Vincent Price. So this is a double feature. It features House on Haunted Hill as well as Last Man on Earth. Now, House on Haunted Hill is the original from 1959, which is the best version in my opinion. The 1999 remakes kind of just they made the guy playing the Vincent Price type character a little too like Vincent Price, and it just doesn't work. But this one's a classic. So he plays Frederick Loren, where he offers these 5 people $10,000 apiece if they can spend the night in the house on Haunted Hill. So it's done really well, and these versions actually have the colorized versions by Legend Films, as well as the restored black and white versions now. I have watched both, and I can tell you the colorized version of House on Haunted Hill is pretty good. I still prefer the black and white version between the two, but Last Man on Earth, the colorized version of that doesn't look right. So, but that's just my personal opinion. But classic horror, you can't go wrong with Vincent Price. Alright, so let's go. I'm just going to go down the stack here. I'm not going to go in any particular order. So if you all like vampire movies, Blood Rain is a good choice, or at least the first and the third one are. The second one, the person obviously had freaking Tourette's or something because he couldn't hold the damn camera still, whoever the cameraman was. But Kristanna Loken, who plays among other things, she plays in Terminator 3. So yeah, this is a great movie based on the video game, and I know a lot of people have complained about it. They're like, well, it's not like the video game. Well, it's like, if you want the video game, play the damn video game. It's not that hard. The movie is based off the game. It's not going to be 100% like the game. And I could have told you that for free. But whatever, some people just don't listen. So, if y'all like killer cars and trucks, got a couple of recommendations for you here. Again, I'm not going to show you every title that's out there, or even every title that I have. But these are just so you get an idea of what's out there. I mean, some of these are going to be well known, some of them you may not have heard of. So, obviously, a lot of y'all have heard of this one, Christine. So, I don't really think I have to explain the story of Christine, but she's a 58 Plymouth Fury that was born on the assembly line. All the other colors were buckskin beige, and she was the red ones. She comes down the assembly line, and you see the beginning of the movie, she's like, fuck you, I'm red. That's what it seems like. But it's a great movie, it's a great soundtrack. No complaints. It's got a lot of deleted and alternate scenes, but which most of them you see a lot of times scenes should have been left in a movie, but in this case, there's maybe one or two scenes of those deleted scenes that should have been left in. Other than that, I can see why they were cut, because they really didn't add anything to the movie. So I'm going to show you another killer car movie. This one's more recent. This is called Phantom Racer. So this features Greg Evigan, who you may remember from BJ and the Bear TV series, and Nicole Eggert is also in it. This is done really well. It aired on the Sci-Fi Channel originally, but as I can tell, it had a pretty good budget. Honestly, I rank it right up there with Christine. I remember when I watched this, the movie first on the Sci-Fi Channel, I had actually taped 2 movies that night. The one that came out a little before was Phantom Racer, so I was on at 7. The other one that was on at 9. Phantom Racer 2 had to be the better of the 2 movies. The other one wasn't that great, so sometimes that's the way it goes. But yeah, if you all are into killer car and truck movies, I would recommend Phantom Racer. Now we get a little bit into the horror franchises. So I'm going to start off with Phantasm. This features Angus Scrimm playing the tall man, where he has these little spears that he shoots out, and they follow you around, they drill holes in your head, and this yellow crap frickin' shoots out. And he drives hearses. He's a mortician, which I think it's in the 4th movie you actually find out how he became the tall man, because he started out as a mild-mannered just mortician. Named Jebediah Morningside. So all 5 of the movies are good. There's five in the franchise. Now the 5th one's a little different. I'm going to tell you that right now. That one you have to actually watch the whole thing. You may need to watch it more than once to appreciate it. And the other half of it is you'll need to watch the credits too, because it, fills in those blanks. Because there's credits. There's like a mid-credit scene. So, but yeah, it's a great franchise. It's my second favorite franchise, horror franchise. You're probably wondering what the first one is. Well, if y'all know me, you probably do know. Nightmare on Elm Street. So, including Freddy vs. Jason, there's 8 movies as well as a TV series called Freddy's Nightmares. I don't know if the first one I saw all the way through was the 4th one, but that's the first one I remember seeing all the way through was The Dream Master, which is probably why that's my favorite one. It's this is a set that's loaded with extras, although if pardon me, sorry, little morning mucus there. Basically, if Shout Factory can ever get the rights to this, there'll be a more comprehensive box set. This is just a basic box set where you can see the cover art leaves a lot to be desired. But you get a lot of extras on it. You get 2 episodes from the Freddy's Nightmares TV series, which they honestly could have chose a couple of better ones. 2 music videos, Are You Ready for Freddy by the Fat Boys and Houdini. Anyway, I Gotta Swing It. Not familiar with that one. Numerous featurettes. alternate endings to the first one. House that Freddy built, Legacy of New Line Horror, and lots of other stuff. So going further into franchises, I'll go show Halloween. Of course, came out in 1978. Has been, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. It's been about 13, if I'm counting this right. There's been about 13 Halloween movies. Now, the biggest problem with this franchise is the timeline's all over the place in it. You have the first two, then you have Season of the Witch, which doesn't have Michael Myers in it. It's basically a history of Halloween. And you have the Thorn trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. 4 is great. 5's not bad. 6 is just a mess. And you have 7, then you have 8. Then you have the Rob Zombie ones, and then you have the Halloween 2018, and Kills, and then Ends. So, I mean, the one thing, I have a good portion of these movies. I don't have all of them. Honestly, there's a couple I don't even care to have. But the thing about these is that the part of the storyline, the Laurie storyline, they've really milked that to death. I mean, they're brother and sister. They're not. They're changing it. They keep, when they do a sequel or whatever, or like what they did with the 2018 and Kills and Ends, they keep going back to the first one. It's like, okay, you can only do that so many times. Okay? Let it go. I mean, speaking for not just myself, but talk to a lot of other Halloween fans, we want to see more of the storyline with Danielle Harris as Jamie from 4 and 5. So, I mean, honestly, just like my friend said, just pick it up after 4. Don't worry about the 5th one. If you're forgetting about the other ones in this series, when you keep doing these sequels or whatever you want to call them, then do like a direct follow-up to 4. You know, Jamie as an adult. But will they do it? Well, probably not. With the person that owns the rights to the franchise, he's several fries short of a Happy Meal, so I doubt that's ever going to happen. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so now there are some people out there, some of y'all, that won't watch horror movies, but they like something a little scary. Okay, so this is what I mean when there's different kinds of horror. Okay? It's what I call the lighter side of horror. Now, it can be animated, it can be live action, it can be whatever. Stop motion animation, whatever. But basically, what it is that you could still have your horror, but it doesn't need to be over the top gory or over the top scary, so you can watch it with your family, is what I'm saying. So there's literally something for everybody when it comes to horror. So Halloween Tree is a good place to start. Basically traces the history of Halloween, where these kids go on a journey to save their friend who is well, he's got like a, what it's called, he's got appendicitis, and Leonard Nimoy voices Mountrout, the timekeeper that's in charge of it. He's the one that takes them on that journey. So it basically traces the history of Halloween going back to ancient times, like in Europe and whatnot, and then Egypt, ancient Egypt, 4,000 years ago. So it's done really well. It's only about 70 minutes long, so, but it's honestly, this is one of my go-tos. I will, as I do with all horror, I will watch this all year round, and It's also one of those ones that I'll throw in if I want to watch something and I can't figure out what to watch. It's one of the few I have that are my go-tos. I have a few movies that are my go-tos for things like that. So, yeah, I highly recommend Halloween Tree if you haven't seen it. It's definitely a hidden gem. It came out in 1993 now. With other movies that came out in 1993 like Nightmare Before Christmas and Jurassic Park, things like that. Hocus Pocus. You know, basically kind of flew under the radar because it was like a TV movie, I guess. So not a lot of people may know about it. Okay, well, another Halloween Town 1 and 2 that this you should all be familiar with. They aired on the Disney Channel. There are a couple more movies in that series, but one of them, the fourth one, was a recasting, and the third one just didn't have the spark that the first two had. So I recommend with Halloween Town you stick with the first two. But they're done really well. Special effects are really good. The costumes, everything just flows really nice in it. So getting a little further into the lighter side of horror, Haunted Pumpkin of Sleepy Hollow is another hidden gem that brings the Headless Horseman, wakes up in the modern era, but he can only for one Halloween night. I actually found this at Hollywood Video when it was still around here. I had never seen it before, but I've had it ever since. So I like anything to do with the Headless Horseman. So, well, for the most part, some of it's not so good. But as I stated, Nightmare Before Christmas is an excellent choice. This is the anniversary edition, 20th anniversary edition. Most of y'all should know the storyline of that. It's where Jack goes to the Christmas town, behind the Christmas tree. There's like all these trees that lead to these different holidays, and that's the one he goes to. But it's done really well. It's definitely gained traction over the years. I mean, as time went by, I always liked the movie as a kid, but as time went by, I liked it even more, and I like it even more now. So, yeah, it's one of those movies where everybody can enjoy it. Just like with the ones the few that I recently mentioned, and a couple others I'm gonna show you. Now, I've heard it said a few years ago that somebody is like, oh, it's a kid's movie. It's like, yeah, in some ways Nightmare Before Christmas is a kid's movie, but you know, it's one of those movies that everybody likes that's seen it. I mean, I don't really know too many people that don't like it, so. But Corpse Bride's another choice that's along those lines. Frankenweenie, I can recommend that. So there's another one that Disney did in 2011 called Spooky Buddies. This is honestly the only Buddies movie that I'll watch. Where it starts off with this warlock in 1937 that wants to awaken the Halloween Hound so they could rule over the land. But he needs the souls of 5 puppies from the same bloodline to do that. So he doesn't quite get it, so they transport to modern times. And he gets one of the, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but one of the buddies, I won't say which one, is accidentally releases them, and you can probably guess what happens on that Halloween night. But it's It's a very fun movie. I actually watched it not that long ago again, so yeah. Goosebumps is another excellent choice for that. Werewolf of Fever Swamp is my favorite episode. That's why I show you this one. Some other, like I said, I'm not going to show everything, but some other honorable mentions for, you know, the lighter side of horror is like Ghostbusters, Scooby-Doo, which I think I actually do have a couple of Scooby-Doo ones to show you here. Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers. This is where Shaggy inherits a southern plantation from his uncle that passed away. Hold on a second. So when he gets there, it turns out it's haunted, of course. So they try to figure out what to do. So they enlist the help of Frico, Strico, and Miko, three ghosts that are basically ghost characters of the Three Stooges, I guess you can put it. There's like a family feud going on between Shaggy's family and the Strogans, sort of like a thinly disguised version of the Hatfield and McCoy feud. This does feature Scrappy. I know some of y'all don't like him, but I happen to like Scrappy, so he's definitely welcome. It's one of my favorite ones. I have basically 3 favorite Scooby-Doo movies. I'm going to show you one of the other ones, which I'm sure this one's a lot of y'all's favorites too, and it's Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And I don't think I have to give the storyline out to that because everybody knows it. The thing I can say about it is, don't bother with the one that they call Return to Zombie Island, because it's not a sequel. They take everything that you loved about the original and ran it into the ground. So it's like that shitty Ghostbusters 2016 movie. You just pretend that it doesn't exist. Alright, so show you a few more. So if you all like creature features I'll do next. Obviously for sharks, one of the obvious choices is Jaws. Well, the first 2 anyway. Then Jaws 3 and 4 were crap, let's be honest about that. Just like I can recommend Deep Blue Sea as well, but I do not recommend Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3. I will say the third one's a little bit better, but not by much. If y'all like dragons, Wyvern is one of the best ones that you can get. That's actually a horror movie. It's not like a medieval fantasy or medieval, whatever. Medieval knight, fighting dragon that you see a lot of. So this was done by the Maneater series, which there's like 30 of those movies, but this is easily the best one they ever did. So, the thing I like about creature features is they think outside the box. Now, some of y'all may not like that, but it's like, it doesn't have to be, same. Just like, not every shark movie has to be Jaws. Not every movie that features like a dinosaur-like creature has to be Godzilla. Things like that. So that's why I like things like Sharknado. Now I remember when the first one aired back in 2013, because I would look at Sci-Fi Channel for Saturday nights. This is when they It's back when Sci-Fi Channel actually showed good movies. Now they show a bunch of crap. But they would show a new movie on Saturday nights. So I used to check it out and see if it was worth watching. So in 2013, I saw this one called Sharknado. So I was like, okay, check it out. My mom actually watched it too. My mom, if you follow my channel, my mom passed away a couple years ago. But, she actually enjoyed the franchise too. But it was very amusing seeing the tornadoes like shoot sharks at people, which, it's not as far-fetched as you might sound. I mean, I heard of an instance back in the 1800s where apparently a tornado actually had sucked up some alligators and shot them at people, so that had to have been an interesting day. But yeah, it's a fun franchise. I mean, like I said, it's not meant to win any awards or anything, it's just meant to be fun. So got a couple more classic horrors to show you. Of course, another Vincent Price, The Raven. This is like a horror comedy, but it's very amusing. It also features Peter Lowry, as well as Boris Karloff and Hazel Court, and a young Jack Nicholson. So you definitely get your star power in that one. Of course, if y'all are interested in vampires, Dracula, can't go wrong with that. This features, of course, the Bela Lugosi Dracula, as well as Dracula's daughter, Son of Dracula, House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. So it's all the Universal horror ones that they did. Okay, so another one I'm going to show you here is a classic called The Fog. This came out in 1980. This is a John Carpenter film. Great music. Atmosphere is really good. It features Adrienne Barbeau, Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis, Hal Holbrook, Janet Leigh, John Houseman. Honestly, could have done without Jamie Lee Curtis. Should have put somebody else in that spot. But yeah, if you know about Jamie Lee Curtis, she, despite her horror making her, she trashes it every chance she gets when she's in her interview. So just know that. It's a great movie. Didn't really when it came out, people were just like, eh. So it's definitely got a cult following since then. Now, there was a remake in 2005. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but maybe a lot of y'all didn't understand why it was made. Now, I always watch the special features for these movies, and I listen to what the interviews are and stuff. So, okay, so John Carpenter said why he greenlighted the remake of this. It's because he felt that every so often you got to take something out and give it a fresh coat of paint. And the reason why he didn't want to direct it, he's like, his exact words were, I did it once, I didn't want to do it again, so I hired a young director to direct the movie. That's what he did. I've had people argue with me like, well, he needed the money. It's like, no, he didn't. He's got more money than probably any other horror director. Period. Even Wes Craven. So, Wes Craven passed away in 2015, but, still. 2005, yeah, he's like, well, he liked the 10 grand. It's like, first of all, 10 grand is... 10 grand to somebody like him is probably like what a penny is. To most people. Sure, it's a penny, it's still money, but it's essentially nothing. That's essentially what it is. So, I mean, I don't think a lot of people understood why he remade it, but if you watch it, if you actually pay attention to it, it actually shows the backstory, which this one, the original, did not do. But when it shows the flashbacks, it doesn't show it all at once, because as they said in the making of the featurette, if they did it all at once, it would have given away the whole movie. So you see snippets of the flashbacks throughout the movie. Definitely, if you watch it though, if you watch the newer one, watch the unrated version. It's well worth it. It should be noted that there's another version though of that. Sorry, throat's a little dry. Basically, what I mean by that is, there's a version by the Asylum called Jolly Roger Massacre Cutter's Cove. So, kind of the same storyline as The Fog. You know, pirate gets killed, you know, and he's got to collect 16 heads of the descendants that killed him and put him in his dead man's chest. So when he's singing 16 heads in my dead man's chest, it's literal. Now, you're probably wondering if the movie is good or not. For what it is, it's good. Okay, it's, you know, it's independent horror. It's not going to win any awards. It wasn't meant to be an extraordinary, but if you like The Fog enough like I do, and you like horror and you like pirates, it's worth it. It's amusing for what it is. I actually don't have a copy of that. I would like a copy of it, but I don't have one at the moment. Now, there is one Fog movie to... Sorry if this section is running a little long, but there is one thing called The Fog I can say to avoid. There is a movie floating around out there that's called The Fog. It has nothing to do with The Fog at all, and it doesn't have... I'm not even sure it's horror. I don't know, around about that time, 06, 07, I made the mistake of picking that movie up at a used at a store, not knowing what it was, and yeah, it was a mistake. I mean, if you look at the DVD cover art for that one, I mean, I don't even know who's in it, to be honest with you, but it's just a random movie called The Fog that has nothing to do with it, so definitely avoid that one. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you here, just one second. I'm going to show you. Actually, a couple things. Return of the Living Dead. It's a great movie if you like zombie movies. Of course, the classic original Night of the Living Dead. So going back to vampires, we'll finish off with that. So, TV shows, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is an excellent choice. It features vampires like Spike, as well as, you know, other ones like Angel's main character, Drusilla, Harmony, you know, other demons and stuff that show up. It's a great series. I'm actually going to be starting disc 2, season 5 later tonight or something like that. So the first episode of season 5 is called Buffy vs. Dracula. Now the interesting thing about that is the guy that played Dracula, Rudolph Martin, is played Vlad the Impaler. He played Dracula himself before that. So what I did was I watched Dracula the Dark Prince, and then I watched the disc 1 of Buffy last night. So it's kind of like you watch this one and then you watch the Buffy episode, And the Buffy episode actually makes it make more sense. It's like bringing him into the modern era. But I know some Buffy fans don't like the Dracula episode. I always liked it. I didn't see nothing wrong with it. And knowing what I know now about who played it, I definitely appreciate it more. Okay, so finishing this up. Like I said, these are just a sample of the different kinds of horror that y'all can get. I'm just trying to let you all know what's out there. And, I'm happy to respond in comments for recommendations if you want to know more creature features, or vampire movies, or slasher movies. One thing I forgot to show is ghosts and hauntings, but basically stuff for like that is like Rose Red, Haunting in Connecticut. Well, actually, I did show House on Haunted Hill, so I guess I did that. But Haunted, the original version of Haunted History of the History Channel is a good choice for that as well. Don't bother with the 2013 newer version of the Haunted History series, because it was just crap. So what I'm going to do for this last part of the video, getting back to once again to vampire movies, is to address the elephant in the room. There's always one, right? So the elephant in the room is the Twilight Saga. Now, I know one of the major problems that people have with it is that it's not in all scenes. If people actually would watch the movies instead of complaining about it without watching them, that the vampires sparkle. Okay, it's not in all scenes. Okay, and I don't know why people can't look past that. Now you're probably wondering, have I watched them? And I have seen up to Breaking Dawn Part 1. I have not seen Breaking Dawn Part 2. I watched them out of curiosity more than anything, because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. But honestly, if you look past the sparkling part of which quite frankly is hardly in it. It's not in every scene, not even close. If you look past that, they're actually fun to watch. I mean, they are enjoyable. I mean, the way the vampires play baseball, using the thunderstorm, the crack of the thunder when they bat, and the first one's pretty interesting. So all I'm saying is, like with any movie, just give it a chance. Don't go by what somebody says. Just like with horror movies, not just horror movies, but a lot of people had I've actually read this online, that a lot of people had a problem with the Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull scene, where Indy gets basically blown up and he's inside a refrigerator. They're like, oh, he wouldn't have survived that, and this and that. It's a movie, first of all. Second of all, who cares? Really? It's like, yeah, statistically, he probably wouldn't have, a human being probably wouldn't have survived being blown up by an atomic bomb inside a refrigerator. Probably right, but it's a movie, and if you paid attention to Indiana Jones, if you watched the character, if you start with the young Indiana Jones movies, starts off when he's a kid and goes through World War I. into the 20s and into the movies when he's middle-aged Indy, then everything Indy's been through, it's really not that hard to comprehend. It's a fictional character. I mean, reality in the again, it's a little off topic, but Volume 2, okay? Young Indiana Jones, Attack of the Hawkmen movie. He gets shot down by the Red Baron twice, okay? A normal person wouldn't have even been up there a second time unless they were really, really stupid. And as lethal as the Red Baron was, nobody would freaking be lucky enough to get it a second time from him. So, yeah. But, all I'm saying is, like with any other movie or series, give it a chance. Because, I mean, there's a lot of other things that, I never would have watched if I hadn't, given it a chance. That's how I got into the classic horror. That's how I got into Vincent Price. I mean, with Vincent Price, I can't say what the first thing I saw with him was. I know I watched things like 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I know I watched Edward Scissorhands and things like that. But I don't know what. But consciously, when I figured out who he was, it was either House on Haunted Hill or The Raven, one of the two. And I remember taping The Raven off TV. It was on one of those movie channels or something like that. It was classic movie channels. And I liked it, so I was like, alright. And I saw another one, I think it was Haunted Palace or something. It's like, okay, another movie with that guy on it. Okay, that one was good. So that's how you know it. That's how you know is if you check it out. But look past just, a scene or two where, so the vampires sparkle in a couple scenes, whatever. It's not all about that. It's about vampires and werewolves. Yeah, it's romanticized, but apparently so are the books. I haven't read the books, but, I assume that's what it is. But, yeah, they were fun. I liked them. I didn't hate them. One thing I will say about vampires, when people are arguing about vampire movies, arguing about Twilight and whatnot, they only seem to bring up one vampire movie, and it's comical, because with all the vampire movies out there, you have Dracula, you have Stakeland with Danielle Harris, which I have, you have the Buffy stuff, you have Vampire Diaries, you have Forever Night, the TV series, you have True Blood, the TV series. Okay, you have all those things. Vampire Lovers with Ingrid Pitt. Or is it? Yeah, Ingrid Pitt, sorry. Things like that. All those vampire movies and shows. They bring up one. These people bring up one. And that's The Lost Boys. It's like, you do realize there were more vampire movies than that, right? It's like there were more vampire movies in the 80s than that, just that one. But my point with that is like, you're showing your ignorance, okay? If you're going to argue with somebody about something like that, bring up other titles. Show people pictures of other vampire movies, okay? You can disagree, but don't make yourself looking like an idiot doing it. I'm not saying The Lost Boys isn't a good movie, but, there's more vampire movies than just that one. There's more that came out of the 80s than just that one. If you dig really deep, you're going to find hidden gems you probably didn't even know existed. Hell, Fright Night came out in the 80s. There you go. Nobody seems to bring up that one. Came out in '79, but Love at First Bite with George Hamilton, that Dracula one. Nobody brings up that one. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of titles, and people just bring up one when they're in an argument. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, oh, Lost Boys. It's like, okay, is that your only argument? It's like, you can like both. It's just like, you can like Jaws and like Sharknado. You can like Christine and like Phantom Racer at the same time. Or you can watch Scooby-Doo and you can watch Courage the Cowardly Dog, which I also enjoy. There's another good choice for lighter side of horrors, Courage the Cowardly Dog. There is a crossover between the two, just so y'all know. Movie featuring both of them. It's called Straight Out of Nowhere. Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog. So it's very good movie. I have it, of course. But I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope y'all got some insight into horror, what good horror movies you can get, and what's out there. Definitely check things like Tubi, because they have Tubi's free, by the way. You see what ones that you might not know exist. That's what I do, is I watch things on Tubi, and if I see it looks good, then I'll get a physical copy of it. That's why I cleared out a lot of my non-horror stuff recently, so I could make more room for more horror. Not that I won't buy it, pick up other titles too, but focus a little more on horror, get some of those other ones for my collection. But I'll see you all next time, and hope you all enjoyed this.